Yes, a very warm welcome back, all my classic dirt bike loving YouTubers, as we take in some of the racing highlights from the 2013 Kendal Classic Nostalgia Scramble. Now, this event, of course, was held at Holme Farm in Middleton near Sedbergh in Cumbria on Sunday the 18th of August, and as you can see, the day started off quite wet when most of the cars and vans and transporters had to be pulled in to the paddock by Mike Barnes there on the big four-wheel drive tractor. So it was quite a bit of a sticky situation to get all the cars and vans etc. into the paddock, but we did eventually manage to do it. As you can see, a couple of nice Elsinores there just getting a toe in, but it was a quite wet paddock on this particular day. But after a couple of very hard hours work from the Kendal Classic Motorcycle Club, we did eventually manage to get all the transporters and riders and racers into the paddock. And as you can see, just prior to the start of race 1, the weather wasn't too bad, but the track certainly had a good overnight soak on the Saturday night and part of the Sunday morning. But we're going to go straight into race 1 here, which of course is the pre-60s unlimited class. And quite a good lineup of riders for this race 1. Your official starter is Darren Hudson. He's just making sure all the riders are good to go. As you can see, there's quite a stiff wind blowing across this nostalgia racetrack, but as race 1 gets underway and the riders head towards us into turn 1, looks like a good start by Peter Hollinshead on that twin-cylinder BSA bike. Peter's made a very good start on that machine. And as usual here at the Kendal Classic Nostalgia Scramble, each and every year we do have a guest of honour, and this year's guest of honour at this 2013 event is none other than Pete Mathia, the Cheshire Charger. So look out for Pete in action later on in this Kendal Classic video. Remember, these are just the racing highlights, so you won't be able to see each and every lap, but we'll certainly show you a few laps from each individual race. So it's still Peter Hollinshead, your race leader, number 454. In third position coming through now is number 9, that's Lewis Bell. Number 121 is Peter Jackson going through, number 121. But some quite quick riders here in this pre-1960s unlimited class. So as the rest of the pack make their way through, we're looking at our race leader again. That's number 454, that's Peter Hollinshead on the SRM BSA. A very quick rider and a quite quick machine, this of Peter Hollinshead's. There's a very strong wind blowing across the racetrack here at the Nostalgia this year, but this won't bother the riders too much. So as Peter Hollinshead comes across the start and finish line to begin another lap, I'm not entirely sure, but I think that could be Andy Carter there in second position. Number 9 with his smoking bike is Lewis Bell from Scotland on the Tribsa. And just going through there is Rob Griffiths, number 158. Quite unusual to see Rob without his dog, but I don't suppose he'll be able to do that when he's riding his bike. But here is your race leader. It's number 454, Peter Hollinshead from Nantwich. I'm just looking at some of the other riders making their way through the turn. Number 115 there, that's of course Chris Myers. Chris is doing very well on that machine. So here is your race leader as he comes round to complete yet another lap. It's the flying Peter Hollinshead, number 454 on the SRM BSA machine. Lovely sounding bike this, and very quick to boot. As Peter has a look back to see who is in that second position. And while we look at number 121 there, that's Peter Jackson. And Peter's riding that 500 BSA machine. But it's a win for Peter Hollinshead, number 454, as he just crosses the finish line. And we're just taking a look here at number 146, that's Peter Lockwood on his lovely 500 matchless. Okay, as the riders leave the line for race 2, this is the pre-1968s up to 350cc class. That looks like a good start there by Steve Dent on the inside, number 585. Andy Cam's also made a good start. It looks like we've got a faller there. Looks like the rider's okay though. So your race leader is still Steve Dent on the Faber BSA bike, number 385, just making the turn there. I think second place is number 43, that's Andy Cam on that beautiful Shenny BSA bike. I think that's a 250. Andy Cam from Shipley. We're just looking at some of the other riders going through. Number 647 looks like he's got some kind of mechanical problem with that BSA. That's Adam Purdom there. Looks like Adam's bike's given up the ghost in this particular race, but it's still Steve Dent, your race leader, being hounded by number 43. That's Andy Cam. Number 12 there is Barry McKee on the BSA bike. Three very quick riders in this class. But Barry McKee from Thornhill in Dumfries on the Scottish borders there, and this time riding his BSA machine. Of course, Barry also has a CZ BSA where he has the CZ chassis with the BSA engine and inside, which is quite an unusual combination. But here's your race leader. It's still number 585, Steve Dent. Second is number 43, Andy Cam on the Shenny BSA. Barry McKee is still in third position, but this has been a good ride here by Andy Cam as he chases Steve Dent for that track position. Andy Cam, of course, mounted on that 250 BSA bike, so not such a big engine for this nostalgia track, but as you can see, Andy is doing absolutely superbly on it. But it's still Steve Dent, your race leader. Andy Cam is still in there in second position. So as they come round to complete another lap, it's still Steve Dent with a slight advantage over number 43, Andy Cam. But this could be quite a good race to the finish line between these two riders. So as we pick up our two race leaders, it looks like Steve Dent is becoming under increased pressure from Andy Cam. Andy Cam looks like he's going to head down the inside, and it looks like Andy Cam now has the advantage in this race in the pre-68s up to 350cc class. So it's Andy Cam, your new race leader, from number 585, Steve Dent, in second position. So as they head up the hill to make the turn, it looks like Steve Dent has dived down the inside and has temporarily retaken the lead, but Steve Dent's not giving up without a fight here, and he retakes that pole position. So it's Steve Dent, your race leader, from number 43, Andy Cam. But this could be a nice battle to the finish line between these two riders. It's still Steve Dent, your race leader, from number 43, Andy Cam. Barry McKee is still in there in third position, but as the riders head up the hill to come round to begin another lap. It's still advantage Steve Dent from Andy Cam. Third position is still Barry McKee. As you can see, the weather here is just almost perfect for this kind of vintage racing here at Holme Farm. So as the riders make their way through on their last and final lap of this pre-1968s up to 350cc class, it's still Steve Dent, your race leader. Second is Andy Cam, number 43. Third is still Barry McKee. So as Steve Dent makes his way towards the checkered flag, this could be his first win of the day. Andy Cam, number 43, is still in there in second position. So as they exit the last 2 or 3 turns, Andy Cam looks like he's going to have a go before the checkered flag. So as they make the turn, as Andy Cam is closed right up onto Steve Dent, so as they cross the hill and come round to take the checkered flag, it looks like it's still going to be a win for number 585. Steve Dent. Second is going to be Andy Cam, and third is Barry McKee. So that brings us next to the big bikes of the vintage class. This is the pre-68 over 350cc class. Some very quick riders in this class. Peter Dobinson made a good start off the line. Gareth Channeler there in the yellow has also made a good start as they all make their way through into turn 2. Quite a tricky bit with this step down as they go into the turn, but it looks like most of the riders have negotiated the turn safely, apart from a couple who have stayed static in the corner. So as they make their way through, it looks like Gareth Channeler is in second position there. Chris Chell's also made a good start, number 264 on the Shenny BSA bike. So as they make their way up the hill, it looks like it's number 111, that's Gareth Channeler in the yellow. Gareth Channeler there riding that 500 BSA, and I'm assuming that Gareth is related to Terry Channeler, the famous British Championship rider. Chris Chell just making his way through there. Peter Dobinson and Terry Channeler is just going through there, number 1. Number 121 is Alan Arnott. Andrew King has also just made his way through. Stuart Riddle on the Twinport CZ. It looks like Chris Chell making a move there for track position. Liston Bell also just behind Chris Chell there. But it still looks like it's Gareth Channeler in first position at number 111. Looks like Chris Chell is just moving up into second spot there. Very quick rider, young Chris here on the Shenny BSA bike, but it's still Gareth Channeler here in the yellow in the 500 BSA, who is your race leader. Chris Chell in second position there. Looks like there's going to be a good race between these two as they head towards the checkered flag. In the blue is Liston Bell from Scotland. Terry Channeler is also made a good move up through the pack in the yellow there as he just makes the turn, but it's still advantage to Gareth Channeler, who is up against young Chris Chell here as these two battle it out for the lead of this race. But it's good to see these relative youngsters riding these old classic bikes. A lot of the younger riders tend to concentrate on the more modern machines with the fancy tricked up suspension, which of course gives them a much better ride on a motocross bike. But it's good to see these younger lads still racing these old bikes. So here is your race leader, it's Chris Chell, who's just taken the lead over Gareth Channeler there in second position on the 500 BSA. We'll try and pick up our third place rider, which is Liston Bell, just going through there in the blue. Ruston Bell's riding that 650 Matisse bike. Scott Maxwell's just going through there on the big Matisse machine. But as you can see, the track conditions here at Holme Farm is almost perfect for this kind of racing, apart from the howling winds, but nonetheless the racing is excellent. So we're just looking to pick up our race leader once again at the far side of the track. It's still Chris Chell. Looks like Chris has got a decent enough size cushion now to take the win in this race, so he's just got 1 or 2 turns to go before he crosses the checkered flag to take his first win of the day. Second is still Gareth Channeler in the yellow, just going through. Number 58 is Scott Maxwell riding that big matchless machine, and look out for Scott in future footage from this 2013 Kendal Nostalgia Scramble, when he'll be racing his big CCM bike. So it's a win for Chris Chell, with Gareth Channeler in second position. Okay, next up we have the pre-1975 up to 250cc class. Another good, almost full gate of riders for this class as they come round to move into turn 2. And thankfully the racetrack drying sufficiently here on the Sunday. We had an awful lot of rain on the Saturday night. It completely soaked the track, but as you can see, the track is still in very good condition for this race. We're looking at number 59. It looks like Jamie Reid has an early lead in this 250cc race. 487 is Andy Story on the ASR 250 Honda Elsinore. Stephen McNally going through. Number 122 is Fergus Moody. So it looks like Jamie Reid is still our race leader. We have a Kawasaki there in second position. I'm not sure who that is because his race number is not listed in the programme, so it's quite hard to identify that rider, but he's doing very well in second position. But we are looking at Jamie Reid on the 250 Husqvarna, who is your race leader. Oh, looks like our second place man, the Kawasaki rider, has just been knocked off his machine. It's moving about, so looks like he could still be okay. That's Chris Cannon just going through there, number 81 on the 250 Suzuki. So it still looks like Jamie Reid, who has the early running in this 250cc class race. Number 18 going through. It's another one of the Elsinore boys riding one of those 250 very quick Honda bikes. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that could be Chris Story on that flying little machine, just passing Derek McCauley there on the 250 Bull Tackle. But very quick and light and nimble, these little 250 Elsinores, and absolutely perfectly suited for this tight and twisty racetrack here at Holme Farm. So I think that is Chris Story, number 18. Number 29 is Derek McCauley there on the 250 Bull Tackle Persine. We're looking at our race leader. It's still Jamie Reid on the 250 Husqvarna. Looks like Jamie's just about to be passed by number 5. That's Chris Winder. So it's now Chris Winder, your race leader. Second is Jamie Reid. It could be Chris Story is now in third position, but we are looking at number 5. Chris Winder, always very quick on this 250 Honda. But you can see how popular these bikes were way back in the day when these were named after the Lake Elsinore Grand Prix in California. And very quick and nimble little machines. As we just look at number 487 going through, that's Andy Story also riding a 250 Elsinore. Chris Cannon there, number 81 on the 250 Suzuki. Stephen McNally going through. That was Fergus Moody just passing there on a quite rare KTM 250 bike. So we're looking at our race leader in this first pre-1975 up to 250cc class. That's Chris Winder on the 250 Honda Elsinore. Of course, we will have more racing highlights from this 2013 Kendal Classic Nostalgia Scramble in part 2, so I do hope you'll retune to take a look at that. Number 18, I think that's still Andy Story. Number 29 is Derek McCauley, but as our race leader heads towards the checkered flag, it's going to be a win here for number 5. That's Chris Winder with Jamie Reid in second position. Okay, just to conclude this part 1 video from the racing highlights of the 2013 Kendal Classic Nostalgia Scramble, we're going to show you highlights from the pre-1975s over 250cc. We're just waiting on the riders leaving the start line. As you can see, it's still very windy here at Holme Farm as the 15-second board goes up. We're all good to go. Once again, some quick riders in this race. This of course is the P75 over 250cc class. Looks like Chris Chell has made another good start in this race. Ian Robertson making his way through the pack there. It looks like Chris Chell has made a good start. I think that's Gareth Chandler once again in second position. We saw quite a good race between these two riders earlier on in the other race, but it's certainly number 264 Chris Chell on the BSA who is your race leader. Gareth Chandler is in second position. Keith Barnes is in there, number 55. I think Keith's riding that lovely Clues Stroker machine. Number 57 just making his way through is the CCM legend Mike Barnes, but we're looking at the battle at the front of this bike, but unfortunately it seems like the organisers have deemed this to be a false start, so it looks like they're wanting all the bikes back to the start line to have a completely brand new restart of this pre-1975 over 250cc race. So it's a completely new start here as riders line up and leave the line for the second time of asking, but another good start by Chris Chell. But it looks like Scott Maxwell has made a good start there. Yeah, it looks like Scott Maxwell is your race leader, but temporarily now just been passed by Chris Chell. So it's Chris Chell, your race leader. Second is Scott Maxwell. Third, it looks like it's Gareth Chandler in third position. So as a race leader makes his way up the hill, it looks like it's still Chris Chell, your race leader, number 264 on the BSA. Second is Scott Maxwell. Third is Gareth Chandler. Keith Barnes going through there in fourth position. Trevor Calderwood just going through from Northern Ireland. Number 153 is Jim Allison on that CCM bike. So here is your race leader. It's Scott Maxwell riding that Joe Maxwell Engineering CCM bike. I think this bike's about 580 cc, so plenty horsepower for Scott to muscle around this track, but it looks like Gareth Chandler has dived down the inside on the 500 BSA in first position. Keith Barnes there in third position now on the Clues Stroker, looking to go past Scott Maxwell, but Scott Maxwell keeps that second place position. So as they head up the hill, it's Gareth Chandler, your race leader, second Scott Maxwell, third is Keith Barnes, riding an absolutely superb race. And of course, if you make a visit here to Holme Farm and maybe classic motorcycle racing is not your cup of tea, then you can enjoy the beautiful landscapes here at Holme Farm. But here is your battle for first position. It's Gareth Chandler in the yellow on that 500 BSA, leads Scott Maxwell, who is going high, and on the outside third is it's still Keith Barnes on the Clues Stroker. So a very nice collection of British made machines in these first three positions, but it's still Gareth Chandler on the 500 BSA, your race leader. Second is Scott Maxwell, third is Keith Barnes. We're looking at Chris Chell. I don't know if Chris has had some kind of mechanical issues, but seems to still be going. So it's still Gareth Chandler, number 111, the race leader. Second now is Keith Barnes. So this has been a pretty good ride here by Keith Barnes in the early stages of this race. This pre-75's over 250cc. Scott Maxwell there in third position. Although I do apologise, I did think that Chris Chell had a bit of a mechanical issue there, but in fact Chris Chell is your race leader. Gareth Chandler is in second, Scott Maxwell is third, and Keith Barnes is in fourth. So I do apologise for that. I thought Chris had maybe had some kind of mechanical issue, but he's certainly riding this race at the front of the pack. So we're looking at the battle for second position between Gareth Chandler and the flying Scotsman, that's Scott Maxwell. Keith Barnes is doing well as the riders come round to take the last lap flag in this pre-1975 over 250cc class race, but it's still Chris Chell, your race leader. Second, Gareth Chandler. Third is Scott Maxwell. Fourth is Keith Barnes, as these riders make their way to the checkered flag. But this has been a very good race for the restart in this pre-75 over 250cc class race. So as they head towards the checkered flag, it's still Chris Chell, your race leader. Second is Gareth Chandler in the yellow, being hounded by Scott Maxwell. Keith Barnes is still doing a cracking job there in fourth position, but as they head towards the checkered flag, it's number 264, Chris Chell, who's going to take the win. Gareth Chandler is still hanging on to that second position from Scott Maxwell in third. So as these guys head towards the checkered flag, as they cross the line, it looks like it's going to be a win for Chris Chell, but it looks like Scott Maxwell is maybe going to take that second place from Gareth Chandler, but Gareth Chandler tries to go down the inside, but it is a win for Chris Chell with Scott Maxwell in second. Well, I do hope you enjoyed some of the racing highlights from that part 1 posting from the 2013 Kendal Classic Nostalgia Scramble, and I do hope you'll rejoin me for part 2.